When I sat down with Michael Russo from Big River Guitars out of St. Louis, Missouri, it was evident right away that he has an appreciation for the vintage, the good old school look, the feel, the sound, the tone of great guitar. One that's been road worn, played hard, and appreciated over time for its playability, comfort levels, staying power, and aesthetic, the visual aesthetic of a guitar that's seen some action. Michael pays homage to this look, this feel, this tone with his creations, and it almost, dare I say, borders on artistic expression. Michael Russo from Big River Guitars. Enjoy. It looks like you're calling from home.
Yep.
It,
Yep.
and that would have been my first. My first question is Big River Guitars. Does that run out of your home?
Yeah, actually. And to tell you the truth, my wife, we're trying to find a bigger place to move the shop because it pretty much looks like a warehouse in our basement.
I am in the same predicament, if you will. This
Yeah,
is
for sure.
my lab, and it's supposed to be the dining room. So,
Right. So basically, I move stuff around. So this is pretty much the only spot that is not piled with boxes.
very cool. Big River Guitars out of St. Louis, Missouri,
Yep.
and of course, Big River, tip of the hat to the Mississippi.
Yeah. Yep. To the Mississippi River. We couldn't figure out a name, and that one just kind of popped up. And I trust my wife with things, so I mean, the name stuck. So there you go.
Nice. Is
Yeah.
your wife, so she's an integral part of the business then?
When it comes to like aesthetic things and appearance things, colors and stuff like that, but she's got a full-time job that she works from home. So we're both here.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. And we got 4 kids, and 2 of them are young, so we get to trade off with them, and it's
Perfect.
easy. Yeah.
Wow, perfect storm. And you founded Big River in 2022?
That's about right. Yeah. It just kind of started off as a way to justify having a bunch of parts and pickups and things around the house, and it kind of took on a life of its own out of nowhere. And yeah, that's pretty much where we're at now. So
you were kind of a tinkerer / builder for your own personal enjoyment before you decided to go pro with it.
Yeah, it had been a long time. I ended up I didn't have a whole lot of time either. So I ended up taking a guitar up to one of the shops to get a push pull put into one of my guitars, and a couple other things. And when I got the bill, I was like, no, I can do this. I can do this myself, And that just kind of started everything, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And your designs, I've got your website up here. I found you on Instagram.
Cool.
And your models, the core models, the Isabella, the Moses, and the Grace. Can I ask, when I saw Isabella and it's a strap body, is that a tip of the hat to Hendrix's Isabella?
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite Hendrix tunes. I love that.
Yeah,
song.
mine too. Yeah, we named our oldest daughter Isabella.
Cool. Very cool.
So, yeah.
Beautiful guitar, man.
Thank you.
It's got that. That's a blue that you just don't commonly see.
Yeah, for sure. So I ended up, like custom orders took off, which I mean, like 60% of the business now is custom orders, and just to kind of keep, because I'm a one-man show, it's just busy, but to keep, kind of not to be wasting time and lacquer and things like that. Anytime somebody gets a custom order, I end up painting 1 or 2 guitars for the store, the same color. So you get a wide variety of colors that people want. So
Hmm.
yeah.
So that blue can show up on other models as well, then.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a recipe book that I've been keeping, and um yeah, I can pretty much mix any color under the sun. So
Is that recipe a family secret or what? Because your finishes, and I should point out to the listeners that you're about vintage looks with modern takes on electronics and hardware and designs. Even you're mixing and
yeah.
matching Tellys with Les Pauls, making the Telly Paul,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and you have relicing on pretty much every model. It has this cool vintage vibe to it.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess my question would be, and I was looking at, how do you do the relicing process and the colors? Are these trade secrets that you keep close to the vest, or
I
is it a
mean,
pretty common knowledge thing?
I I mean, it's got to be common knowledge because I just basically, I'm constantly refining things, but everything I find is online for the most part, you know.
Okay.
Um, so and trial and error, you know. I've ruined a many guitar
Yeah.
trying to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, pretty much I start with um, I prep the bodies, and then I start with a colored lacquer, and then I let that sit. And once it's done, I pretty much do everything by hand. So once the body's ready to be wet sanded, um, I start with 600, move my way up to 1,000, but um, that 600 grit is where I do a lot of the aging. Um,
So you do it
so
after the first application of the finish.
Actually, I what I do is usually depending on the color and the finish, 8 to 10 coats, 8 to 12 coats of lacquer, colored
Wow.
lacquer, and then if it's depending on the color, I've been kind of experimenting here lately because um, I've gotten a couple new products in. Um, so what I'll do is, and I've gotten some requests for like metallic colors and flake,
Mm,
and with that, you kind of have to end up putting maybe 4 coats or so on, and then I have to build up clear on top of that.
mm.
Um, yeah, so it's not really a secret, but what I've been trying to do lately um, is really do some work on the necks, the back of the necks.
Oh, cool. So I have that one
Yeah,
played in look.
yeah,
How about
um,
fingerboards? I noticed all your fingerboards and necks are pristine, basically, compared to the guitar.
yeah.
A lot of rosewood, a lot of the roasted maple, which is just gorgeous, just really adds to it. But are you going to dive into aging? You know, because you do have a couple like the Peach Jazzcaster. You know,
Yeah.
they've got the maple neck. And how would you go about aging that?
So I've had from the beginning, those necks that I get, I love those necks.
The
They're
roasted maple.
beautiful. Yeah, roasted maple, the rosewood, and the frets on those necks are just pristine.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so they're called hidden tangs,
Ah, right.
which they're super smooth. But the problem I've ran into with these necks, it's kind of a trade off. The roasted maple, um, basically, when it's baked in, I mean, it bakes in through all the layers of the wood. So it doesn't matter how much I sand off, that caramel color is just baked right in. I
Hmm.
mean, I've even tried wood bleach
Wow.
to lighten up the color, and so I've I don't know. The past couple months, I've been using different necks that aren't roasted because I can age the back of those.
Okay.
Um, and with that finish, it's basically I lacquer the entire neck, and then I go back and tape everything off between like second and 12th fret, and then I I just start at 120, sand
Hmm.
everything down like 320, and then I hit it with try to pop the grain about, I don't know, half a dozen times.
Okay.
Uh, Then from there, I put a stain on it
To give
and
it
sand that
that
up.
oiled, like greasy hand has been
Yeah,
playing it for decades.
yeah.
Hmm.
And so I put that stain on there. I sand that back. Um, and then the recipe I got was from a guy. It's a guy on YouTube, Highline Guitars. I don't know if you've ever
Oh yeah,
watched him.
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
think
I
his
love
name's
his
Chris.
channel. Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I think
yeah.
a lot of the stuff that I've learned has come from him, to be
He's
honest
why
with
I
you.
bought this Stumac Fret Kisser. Yeah, he
Oh,
posted
there
a
you go.
video on
Yeah.
how freaking cool it was, and I was like, I have to get it. It was sold out. I had to wait another month, but
No, sure.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
smart
He
guy.
had, yeah, he did I mean, it was a quick, like 3 minute video that I ran across, and it was his favorite, um, his favorite finish on a neck. And it's boiled linseed oil, mineral spirits, and then Japan dryer.
Wow,
And you apply it with, um, you do 600 grit, 800 grit, 1,000, and then 1,500.
wow,
And I'm telling you, the back of these necks, it's like butter, the smoothest
wow,
neck, yeah, I've ever felt. It's a great, and it's super easy too.
wow.
Yeah.
As long as
So
you have the
yeah,
recipe down.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Mike,
And
has this been like when you dove in 2022? Are all of these things that you're talking about, these techniques, were you starting at zero, or was this stuff you'd already done on your own guitars and thought it'd be cool to make a product line with what you've already
yeah,
learned? Because it sounds like you're constantly developing techniques and such. Like it's an ever
yeah,
growing thing.
that's pretty much it. I practiced some on my guitars, and then just kind of jumped in and um, yeah. To be honest with you, it was everything from the beginning was just trial and error, you know.
Hmm.
And honestly, I never really intended on this to become, you know, a career, but
Yeah.
it just kind of took off. And
How did that happen? When was the first guitar you went, hey, you know what? I can sell this. And I noticed you have a giant storefront on Reverb. Did you
right,
sell that first one on Reverb, or was it someone you knew? Or
yeah, I the first one I sold on Reverb, I basically started by just, purchasing, a used guitar, and I'd fix it up and put some new pickups in it and then resell it. So, and then I just started doing parts casters. And after a couple months, I ended up getting contacted, by this guy he's from St. Louis. He doesn't live that far away. And we just started talking, and he basically suggested, why don't you start doing this? And why don't you start doing this? And I'm like, you know what? That's actually not a bad idea. So, like Jazz Masters at the time, I wouldn't have thought. He's younger, and I'm not that old. I'm like 43, but um, he's a little bit younger. And he's like, everybody's wanting Jazz Masters now. I'm
yeah,
like, oh, all right, I'll give it a
yeah,
shot.
yeah.
You know?
Jazz Masters' popularity has increased. Probably Kurt Cobain kicked the door open again, and
Oh yeah,
Dinosaur Jr. And I mean, suddenly you were seeing them all over the place.
yeah, yeah. Maskus is an animal.
Matt
They,
J. Maskus, thank you. I was trying
yeah,
to catch the name. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's the I sell more Jazz Masters, and I don't know, it's kind of bittersweet because I'm a Strat guy. I love Strats. I love
Me too.
building Strats.
Yep.
I everything about it, and
Yeah.
um, I sell more Jazz Masters and Tellys than
And
and
I'm looking at your customs, and one of them is that Telly Paul, and I'm wondering why the heck isn't that one of your core models? Because that's a freaking cool design.
it is. We were so each model has been named after one of our kids,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, and then we ended up having our son fourth child was born in October.
Liam.
So Liam,
I could
Yep.
guess that because you announced the Liam model will be coming soon to your
Yeah.
core
So
collection. So I figured Liam. It's either that or Liam Neeson, and
yeah, yeah. So the Leah model is coming soon. It's going to be like a telebird. So basically the body of a telly, but with the raised strip of a Firebird, and then
cool.
um,
Telly single coil pickups with the lipstick tube pickup as well, or
yeah. So I'm thinking for the core model, I really like Firebird. I'm going to probably start with 3 pickups. So like Firebird neck, um, single coil in the middle, and then Firebird bridge to start. So
wow.
yeah, so I ended up um, coming in contact with this guy out in San Diego who cuts bodies, and this guy's incredibly talented and um, pretty much cuts all sorts of specialty bodies. Um, so that's going to be one of them, and the telepall comes from Scott also. Um,
his name is what? Scott Hill? Was that right?
his name's Scott Green. He's from
Scott Green.
yeah, Sandhill Customs out in San Diego. But I use 2 different guys for my bodies. One is out of Ohio for just the standard Telly, Strat, and Jazzmaster bodies. And then anything that's going to be some sort of mashup comes from Scott.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And
I
actually,
know.
we're working. Yeah,
Go ahead.
we're actually working on necks right now too. We kind of come up with some really killer headstock designs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're going to be getting into custom necks too here soon.
Super cool, man.
Guitar Garage Talk is brought to you by YourGuitarMechanic.com. Setups, repairs, restrings, and more. Whatever your guitar or bass needs, we can get it done. Offering pickup and delivery service in the greater Charlotte, North Carolina area. YourGuitarMechanic.com. Now, back to the program.
And that Telly, the one that you have in your customs, the Telly Paul, well, my bad. It was on your Instagram, and it was a Telly Paul made out of found wood from what was it, an old torn down refinery or factory or something?
Yeah, that was
Incredibly beautiful guitar, man.
So that was old growth pine from the Globe grain elevator, which was the largest grain elevator in the world at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, so this wood actually, it was when it was a sapling. It was a sapling when the Declaration of Independence was signed. So this, and I got to tell you this, and it was kind of funny. We named it the Telly Paul Revere. And
that's good.
yeah, but this thing, man, and the back was walnut, the top was the old growth pine.
Wow.
And this thing had the most incredible natural sustain. I mean, it was like an acoustic guitar.
Wow.
It was incredible. And actually he's got more, so I'm actually planning on 1 or 2 more here in the next month or 2. But yeah, that was a fun one.
So he would reach out when he comes into this lumber, this amazing chunk of wood or cord or pile or what pallet of wood. I mean, he reaches out to you, and does he deal with other guitar makers around the U.S.? Is it kind of a first come, first serve kind of deal?
Yeah, no, he works with several builders. He's constantly busy. He just did a big order for a Telly bass design that he came up with.
Wow.
Which that's on the list too. Is my dad played bass, and
oh, you're going to start diving into basses? Okay.
yeah, that'd be. And I was actually thinking for the Liam, maybe do a bass, but Yeah, coming up here, I'm thinking like to start with, get a couple of those telly bases and go from there.
Wow.
So yeah,
And how did Scott's the guy that had the old growth, right?
yeah.
How does he have his ear to the ground for that kind of stuff? Hey, we're tearing down this largest grain elevator in the world. Let's reach out to lumber mills around the United States, or
Yeah, he
I wonder
gets.
how that process even works.
So I know that for that stuff, I'm pretty sure he for the old growth pine from the grain elevator was being sold online, that he
Okay,
found,
okay.
and then um, like things like the wall. Like I know that he's gotten a lot of his wood from like high end furniture companies who have gone out of business.
Uh,
Um, I know he's gotten wood from the old like an old tailor factory.
oh wow.
Yeah, so pretty much everywhere. He's pretty resourceful.
I wonder how he goes about pricing stuff like that. Like if it's the world's largest, it's got this provenance to it, this
Right.
legacy in the wood. How would you even put a price on something like that? It's not
You
a
know,
standard piece of pine. It's legendary, one
it
of a
is,
kind.
and I think it's pretty much what I'm not exactly sure what the cost was because I'm you have your choice of getting different cuts from the Globe grain elevator. I know that you can get like 6 foot boards, you can get smaller. Um, but yeah, when he buys in bulk, I'm not exactly sure how that pricing works though.
That'd be
Um,
interesting.
yeah, for sure. But he's got all sorts of stuff. Like there was an old schoolhouse. I think it was an old schoolhouse that was burned down. It was like 3 miles from where one of the planes had crashed from 9/11 in
Oh, in
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, yeah.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was it was a couple miles from where that plane had crashed, and
Whoa.
the schoolhouse had burned down. So he gets all sorts of stuff, like that type of wood too. I think it was like a 150-year-old schoolhouse.
Was
His
that
wood was
wood
from there.
scarred from the fire? Did it have scars
I
on it?
that I don't know.
Okay. Man, I'll bet that'd be
It
gorgeous.
could, yeah,
Have some
yeah,
of that
and
scarring in there.
yeah, for sure. We did so like January and February. That's kind of how I met him. So um, January and February were we called them natural finish month. Well, January started as natural finish month.
I know one of your strats had that natural. Oh man, that hardtail strat that you did.
Yeah, the
Just freaking.
bourbon.
Oh, yeah, the bourbon. Beautiful, beautiful
Yeah,
guitar.
those were fantastic. Actually, I got an order at the beginning of the week for a Telly Paul, but with that bourbon glaze.
Wow.
Um, so I'm really looking forward to that. I those those stained ones. I wish they moved more. I think it's a smaller market for natural finishes.
Mm, mm,
But they're beautiful.
absolutely.
It's got a little bit of texture to it, but it's super smooth. But yeah, so that's kind of how it started. I ran into Scott from doing the natural finishes, and because pretty much that's he does some uh, some painting of his guitars, but the
Mm.
majority of them, he just puts some shellac on them and sells them raw. So
And that telepole, you said it was flood dipped. Is that where you literally just bathe it?
yeah, it was flood soaked in shellac. So yeah,
Oh, he did it for you.
yeah, he did
Okay.
the flood coating with the
Okay.
shellac. Yeah, and then I got it. And I
Wow.
basically all I did, and to tell you the truth, I didn't even touch the finish was so beautiful on it.
Yeah.
Um, there was the right amount of like shellac and just natural wood left on it. So I decided not to even touch it. It was
Good
perfect the
choice.
way it was. Yeah.
Good choice. So, Michael,
Yeah.
your customs, it sounds like it's a combination of you dabbling and people requesting. Is that the case? Hey, can you make me a
Yeah.
Telly Paul with this wood, these pickups, those tuners, yada yada, or you just having parts, putting them together, making and waiting for people to.
Yeah, pretty much. I've got a couple guys, couple buddies of mine who we kick ideas around all the time. One of which should be done next week. I've got some parts coming for it, but an SG, half Jazzmaster. So that one's going to be fantastic. It's
What part of it's Jazzmaster? The soap bar pickups or something?
so yeah. So I routed it for Jazzmaster pickups,
Okay.
and then what I'm doing is a hardtail bridge, like an open backed hardtail bridge with a Bigsby,
Wow.
and then yeah. And then I was thinking I did like to kind of keep it like 50-50. I was going to do like a Jazzmaster neck, but it just didn't. It was nice, but it just didn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You need a 3 and 3 headstock on an SG.
Exactly.
It balances visually.
No, for sure. Yeah. No sense in, trying to shove a square peg in a round hole. It's not going to work.
So your components, when it comes to the core models, all of your components are the same, or yeah. And when it comes to the customs, it's, hey, I want to experiment with these pots. I'd like to experiment with this hardware. Okay.
And that's kind of the thing. Pretty much the way I've got it set up, really, I only charge for labor. So then all parts are itemized. So if you want to use like the core hardware that I use on most of the builds that are going through the store, that's an easy way to do it. But a lot of guys want to, customize different, they want a Callahan bridge or they want these tuners. So that's the way I've got it set up. And then the pickups as well. So a lot of times guys don't know what they really want to use for pickups. So I like to try to, find 4 or 5 different sets with demos and send those out, have them check those out, things like that. Yeah.
Wow. Nice. Yeah. Wow. Talk about customer service. One of your, you were shooting photography against some ketone amplifiers. And I was looking at your Instagram going, God, every one of his photos has a ketone. The guitar is leaning on this. Let me check out this ketone. Great amplifiers, huh? How'd you find ketones? Actually, Tennessee.
Yeah. And actually, it's not mine. It's my buddy Alex's amp. So I was mixing. You got to be kind of resourceful when you're running a business out of your house,
Sure.
So I'm like moving different spots to take pictures in. And, And it's actually here. I've got it. And actually I'm going to set it up today and start using it again for the pictures.
Cool.
But yeah, that amp it's unreal. It's like a Tweed style.
Yeah.
12-inch speaker. But yeah, he lent it to me because it looks awesome in pictures.
It does. It's got that vintage vibe to it.
Alex ended up sending it. I think this was in November because I shipped it for him. It had a small crack because it's all wood, so it has a small crack in the on the top of it. So we mailed it back to him to replace that piece. But yeah, and it sounds, oh man, yeah, it's just a beautiful freaking Tweed style amp,
And when I was looking at and I don't want to pressure you at all, but when I was looking at your Instagram, I was really hoping for some of your models to be like videos of them being played.
Yeah. So
are you the ultimate critic and you think you're the crappiest guitarist in the world, or?
I am literally the crappiest guitarist in the world.
I figured you'd say
Guitar Garage Talk is brought to you by YourGuitarMechanic.com. Setups, repairs, restrings, and more. Whatever your guitar or bass needs, we can get it done. Offering pickup and delivery service in the greater Charlotte, North Carolina area. YourGuitarMechanic.com. Now, back to the program.
So another buddy of mine, Walton, he's the one who did the website.
Beautiful
Who did our
website.
website.
Nice and clean,
Yeah,
simple. Yeah. Gets the job
yeah.
done.
And we're actually overhauling it as we speak.
Cool.
Kind of fix some things on there, but yeah, Walton ended up suggesting, reaching out to a bunch of guys, a bunch of customers to see if we can get like 10-second clips of them playing,
Great idea.
playing their instruments, and we're gonna, load those up to the website because I've got a couple of videos from guys, and I got to be honest with you, it's one of those things where somebody shoots me a message and they want to hear how the guitar sounds. It's like, yeah, all right, I'll plug it in for you, but I can't do it justice. To be honest, I should probably start taking some more lessons so I can actually do that.
Or hire a local musician to come in and pick up every model and play it. Same
That was
setup,
it.
same
Yeah.
position, same amplifier. Yeah.
That was actually that was an idea. I used to own a restaurant and bar back in my 20s, and we used to have live music, so
Cool.
there's still guys I could reach out to and do that, but yeah, it's a great idea.
And so, can I ask then, Michael, what did you do before you started Big River Guitars in 2022?
Sure. Actually, I was a registered nurse.
Son of a gun. Were you on the front
Yeah.
lines during the pandemic?
No, actually,
Okay.
no. We had,
Okay.
which, thank goodness, because
Yeah.
that
Talk about
was a mess.
the real heroes, man. The
Yeah,
nurses are,
it's unreal. But yeah, our 4-year-old daughter was born 3 days before the lockdown.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Amazing time.
Yeah, had she been born like 4 or 5 days later, I wouldn't have been able to go to the hospital with them.
Wow.
But yeah, so my wife has a great job, and our kids are kind of spaced out. So we've got an 11-year-old, a 10-year-old, and then 4-year-old in 6 months. And she stayed home with the oldest two, and then we kind of flip flopped, and I kind of stayed home for the 4-year-old, and now.
So you were a tinkerer, a self-proclaimed crappy guitarist, and
Yes.
you decided to. That's awesome. I love that story, man. I'm going to be
Yeah,
a builder.
That was, it was trying to find something to do to occupy my time when the kids were asleep.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Hey, better than sitting in front of the TV all night,
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, so that's how
Absolutely.
that started.
So let me see. I've got I've got the general list of questions. Did you ever
Sure.
build? I mean, when you said you worked on your own guitars, when was the first time that when I was a kid, I got my first electric was a Sears and
Yeah.
Les Paul style. And I took a day off from school one day, called in sick, and I decided to take it apart and put it back together again, just to see if I could do it. And I didn't mess it up. It was a completely functional. They're very forgiving instruments.
They
but
are.
You really have to make that leap of faith. Like, all right, I got to do this. And when did that happen? When were you like, well, you said you wanted a push pull, you got charged too much. Had you ever dove into, tweaking your guitars and all that beforehand, or was that kind of
No,
this
it
is
was
it? I
just,
have to learn how to solder. I have to learn how to do that.
I had just jumped right in. I got to learn how to solder.
Yeah.
Got to learn how to install pickups, things like that. And I don't know. I would say it took about 2 months before all 6 of my guitars that were down here in the basement were completely laid out all over the floor.
Wow.
Yeah. So
your entire collection, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah. I've never been, some stock pickups are great, but I'm a huge fan
Right.
of popping in aftermarket pickups and things like that.
Absolutely.
And that
Especially
was kind
being
of,
a Strat guy. When you're a Strat guy,
yeah.
you're kind of a slave to the cruddy pickups that you're gonna end up getting.
Yeah, I had a guy message me a couple hours ago who had he had a Strat with a set of Radio Shop Chris Bucks in them, and I had a set of those about a year ago, and I've been regretting getting rid of them ever since. But he messaged me earlier today, saying he was going to start, taking his guitar apart and parting out everything. So, yeah. So yeah, pretty much, it's just a matter of swapping in pickups here and there, and
making it the guitar you really want.
no, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I found is that you can build a really killer guitar for the same price or cheaper than walking into Guitar Center and grabbing
Right.
a player off the wall or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's a very good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
How do you the relicking the body and the paint with the 600 grit and all that and the multiple finishes? How do you relic the hardware? What kind of a process is that?
Yeah. So the hardware.
Because Michael, I saw a video on StuMac. They've got this guy, and he was doing Dan Earlywine's guitar. They're bringing it back to life, and they were trying to match some of the hardware from it. And he put it in a can with a bunch of screws and nuts and bolts in it, and poured coffee in there and put some coffee grounds, shook it up, laid it in the sun and let it bake for a couple days. And that was his process. But I mean, what do you do? What's your recipe for relicking hardware?
Actually, that's not a bad idea. I might try that one. So I've got a couple different ways I go about it. The one I've been using a lot, just because it's kind of set it and forget it, is muriatic acid.
Oh wow!
So basically, get a big Tupperware, fill it about 1 inch with muriatic acid, and then get another smaller Tupperware. You don't want the hardware touching the acid at all. I put the hardware in the smaller one and then seal everything up and let it sit for 45 minutes or so.
Wow.
And then take it out and then put it in a box with a kind of a wet paper towel, tape it up and let it sit for basically until the paper towel's dry. It gives it nice oxidation, nice rusting. It's not too,
And it's uneven. It has an organic look to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't coat the entire piece in the same look. It has that. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. That's right now pretty much the way I've been going about doing it. I was reading stuff last week about different ways to go about it. A lot of guys are, keep that close to the hip.
Yeah,
go about doing it, but
sure. And then, do you find when you do that you might have to extra lubricate with some machine oil, the tuners and stuff, just to make them happier after sitting in an acid bath?
Yeah, that's yeah. If you go about doing it this way, I would recommend getting some WD-40 and afterwards definitely lubricating everything, because I've run into situations, especially with like saddles and things like that, where they just rust and get stuck.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Like the Tune-O-Matic and all that.
Yep.
Yeah. And I saw a cool video the other day. It was a guy, he got the some Stratocaster knobs that looked like the old school top hat knobs.
Yeah.
And he stuck each knob on the end of his drill, and he got a piece of sandpaper and turned the drill on, and it wore down that top little edge there to give it that I've touched this knob for 20 years roundedness to it, a nice roundness to it.
That's so funny that you said that.
Yeah. Are you practicing on that?
I actually did that for a guy's Strat like 2 weeks ago. After I saw that video. Yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It looks awesome.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And then he pulls it off the drill and puts it on some paper and scuffs up the top of it, and then he polishes it off with a really fine grit, and It looks all nice and shiny.
I'll tell you,
Gorgeous.
they feel awesome.
Yeah, they do. They do. I'm thinking about doing it to my Japanese Strat. Like if you were to yellow plastics, like I have an '86 Stratocaster made in Japan,
Yeah.
and the pick guard stayed bleach white, and of course the pickup covers and the knobs turn that nice golden
Right.
yellow. How would you yellow plastic tops like that?
So I use, and actually I just got a new product last week. I use shoe polish.
Oh, son of a gun.
Yeah, shoe polish. I've actually, my buddy's always joking about, throwing these bodies in the back of a truck and just driving around with them.
There you go.
But every once in a while I'd be like, just go out and throw some dirt on it.
Sure.
Yeah, but I use a lot of shoe polish. That tends to work really well. I try to scuff up the pick guards and then shoe polish and then wipe it off and it gets into the creases and
Nice.
the scratch marks and yeah.
Wow. Man, and they're definite works of art. Do you research like do you check out old photos of rockers on stage with their classic guitars and kind of you've got the arm rash on the front,
Right.
the right arm, you've got the palm muting rash at the bridge,
Yeah.
the standard, like I'm looking at one of my favorite guitars of yours is the Triple H Moses 72 Kelly Deluxe.
Oh
Gorgeous,
yeah.
gorgeous freaking guitar, and it's got that Isabella blue. That's just wow.
Yeah.
It's an amazing looking guitar. But do
Thank
you find yourself researching where relicking happens on guitars, or is it kind of just it's kind of a given now, right? I mean,
yeah, at this point it is, but it's you want it to look you don't want it to look like you're actually doing it. You know what I mean?
right? Yeah.
And that took a lot of trial and error too. Getting frustrated and then having to repaint it and do it over and but yeah, there's and actually there's a couple guitars I'm like you said I love trying to recreate. I did a Gilmore Strat.
Beautiful.
And coming up here, I wanted to do the Robbie Robertson Strat from the Last Waltz.
Yeah,
it was dipped in like brass or something like that. And so trying to figure out was it brass or was it? I think it was brass. But trying to figure out a way to recreate that look on the body without submerging a guitar in brass.
Yeah, right. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so. That I plan on doing that one coming up, and then Lowell George from Little Feat, his Strat.
Okay.
Yeah, that one was a complete mess.
I was watching Pearl Jam was recently on Howard Stern, and they posted a bunch of videos of them performing, and Mike McCready's Strat is just thrashed. But dude, it's got the sweetest tone.
His Sunburst.
Yeah.
Are you talking about McCready's
and then
Strat
Fender replicated it, but it's $50,000 or whatever.
I was just gonna say, when they first came out with those, they were like it was like $55,000 for
unreal.
Strat.
And it sold out in like a week.
Yeah, man, McCready's an animal too.
But that's a different level of because you paint your guitars a solid color. How would you go to the level of creating a sunburst and then scarring it? I mean, that's like multiple layers of work, right? That's pretty laborious.
It depends. Right now, when I get time, I do like to practice and do stuff like that. I've done things like 2 and 3 colors. Like do a couple coats of TV yellow, do a couple coats of like Pelham blue on top. But yeah, honestly, for the most part, in terms of labor, it is incredibly labor intensive.
Yeah,
especially when you're doing it.
Case in point, your Triple H Telly looks like it had a red underneath that blue.
Yeah. That one was it was oxblood, and then that Pelham blue on top. Yeah, that guitar was awesome. I love that thing. It's always tough,
Man,
you know.
too bad
It's
it's not in
always
your
tough.
regular rotation. But then you have clean guitars like the Pulsar. I'm looking at the Pulsar right now. Beautifully pristine metallic finish that you
Yeah.
mentioned. Are you thinking about cycling in some clean guitars in your core models, or is
You know
everything going to
that
be vintage style?
it just kind of depends. It was just
Mhm.
I, you know, uh, for the most part, building mostly aged vintage style guitars kind of happened just because trying to get a perfectly clean finish with lacquer is a difficult process to do.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
um, I get emails a couple times a week from guys that want a clean finish on it, and unfortunately, I say no because it's going to take. I mean, the labor involved. I mean, first of all, it's difficult to kind of give an idea of how long it's going to take. You
Mhm.
know, um, but if a normal guitar takes like 30 hours, let's say, I don't know, maybe 60 hours, 50 or 60 hours to do like a clean finish.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So
Guitar Garage Talk is brought to you by YourGuitarMechanic.com. Setups, repairs, restrings, and more. Whatever your guitar or bass needs, we can get it done. Offering pickup and delivery service in the greater Charlotte, North Carolina area. YourGuitarMechanic.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, so you have the luxury, the freedom of, oh shit, I just dropped this body on the floor. Oh well, it's just part of the guitar. You know what I mean? Or, you
I
know,
mean, I got to be honest. I mean, that's happened. It's
sure,
it's
sure.
it's it's happened. And it's like, well, actually, you know what? That looks kind of cool.
Absolutely. Oh man. You're shooting your guitars on a black face Fender now.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a buddy of mine's too. Yeah, and actually, he wanted me to do some work on that amp. Um, I swapped the tubes out and then ended up using it for some photos. Yeah, that one's gone. That one's back to its owner.
Are you at the
Um,
level of soldering and electronics work that you can fix amplifiers and mod
did
amplifiers?
and that's like moving forward. It's gotten to the point where like I'm in desperate need of hiring somebody. Um,
To help you with the construction of the guitars.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Which is, I mean, it's a great problem to have.
Absolutely.
Right now I'm operating, I don't know, about 110%, and it's not sustainable. But kind of the goal, I've got goals for like, the next year, next couple of years. And what I'd really like to do is, start building amps and things like that. So kind of hand off the guitar finishing and building to somebody else. I show them how to do it, and then start working on, building amps, winding pickups, and things like that. I mean,
Oh
that's
wow.
yeah,
That's
that'd be
next
the
level.
dream.
That's next level.
Yeah, and I won't say like right now. I can do pretty standard stuff with an amp, but building an entire board right now
So you went
is not a
from
good idea.
zero knowledge of soldering
Yeah,
to where did you how did you school yourself? Online, just YouTube videos or
yeah,
books
yeah.
upon books?
YouTube videos, books, and I'm more of like a hands-on guy. So burning myself
Yeah,
and
trial and
yeah,
error.
yeah, just setting up like
Trial by fire.
no, exact right, right,
Yeah.
by hot metal. It's
Yeah, that's right. I took a
but
Seymour Duncan soldering class online.
oh,
Totally,
nice, yeah,
totally free, and it's super smart of them to do that
yeah.
because they're catering to the market. I mean, these guys are afraid of buying their pickups because they don't know how to solder. Well, we'll show you how to solder, and I wonder if their sales just skyrocketed from these free classes. Look how
And
easy it really is, you know.
no, right, and you had mentioned something about that a little bit ago, and that's a lot. I'm always shocked, and actually, I'm not shocked because when I first started out, it was like you know, am I going to break this truss rod off? Am I going to, you know, but, you know, once you start doing it, I actually did a video and, and posted it on Instagram of my 4-year-old daughter on my lap adjusting a truss rod.
I love that video. That's an awesome. It's just like,
Yeah,
like
right.
trying to pull
And
on the wrench.
yeah, that was kind of the purpose. Was it's
Mhm.
not, you know, it's
It's not a giant mystery that's unapproachable by the normal man.
no good, and pretty
Yeah,
much nothing is, you know. It's just getting comfortable with it, and
good point.
I don't know. I'm kind of, I guess, a little bit surprised at guys who are just who I've come across who are just phenomenal guitarists who, you know, maybe don't know how to swap their pickups out, you know, or maybe don't know, you know, how to lower or raise the action on the guitar
Hmm.
and things like that.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. I
and I
mean,
guess, you know,
how many guys in
coming,
NASCAR know how to work on their own cars? They don't. They've got a crew to do that.
well,
You
right.
know,
And
whatever.
that's a good point. And that's kind of, you
It's
know,
not their wheelhouse.
no, yeah, their job is to play the guitar, you know,
That's right.
that's,
But then you got
but
guys like Brian May. I always bring up Brian May with builders,
yeah,
and he's one of those phenomenal combinations of I built my own. Well, and Eddie Van Halen. You know,
yeah,
I built this guitar. I'm an amazing player, and it's just this rare combination. But you're right; it's one or the other.
yeah. And that's funny. I always run across that one of the Brian May videos talking about, you know, him and his dad building the Red Special. And, you know, there's really nothing on that guitar right now that wasn't on it 60 years ago. You know,
True, true.
that's incredible.
The pickups are all dented. The original
Right.
Burns pickups, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah.
amazing. Have you thought
Yeah.
about what if you wanted to dive into, since you have guys cutting your bodies for you? You don't cut any. Is that correct? You're not cutting any of your own bodies.
No, I'm not. And that was kind of uh, that's a goal too, is trying to get to a point where buying a CNC myself for the store and cutting my own bodies. Um, but yeah, at this point, I've got it kind of down to it's like a machine.
Uh-huh,
It's worked out really well.
uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, that's definitely on the list, is trying to get a CNC machine and cutting everything in
And the
house.
price range is so easily approachable too on CNC machines.
Yeah, at this
Like,
point, they've definitely come down. Right, it's doable for sure.
absolutely. And
Yeah,
then, well, then that would have led me to, would speaking of Brian May's Red Special, it's a chambered guitar.
right.
The possibilities are endless. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, and that's luckily I came across Scott because like it has opened up an entire new, you know, an entire new world of possibilities for, you know, building all sorts of different mashups. It's awesome. Um, you know, I've got some ideas for some semi hollows and things like that. And,
Wow.
you know, his background is like 3D rendering and things like that. And
Wow.
can pretty much shoot him, you know, shoot him a photo or shoot him like, you know, a drawing. He renders it and can cut it within, you know, a week.
Wow. Good turnaround.
Yeah,
That's a good turnaround.
yeah, yeah,
If you haven't seen it yet, you might really be interested in it's not James Hetfield's Explorer. It's kind of an Explorer shape,
yeah.
and it was made out of I think he calls it the woodshed, and it was made out of the old shed that they used to practice in San Francisco back in the
Oh,
early
that's
days.
awesome.
It
Yeah,
is. They went and found it, got the lumber from it, and the video. There's all these things that are, little clues and hints and parts of the story included in
yeah,
the guitar. It's freaking amazing.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. We've got it should be here Monday or Tuesday, but kind of an Explorer shape coming. Um, it's based off of he's a small builder, Ben Wasser, called the Shaft.
Cool.
I'd look it up. Yeah,
Cool.
it's like an Explorer with the top chopped off, and
Interesting.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. So,
Huh. And we'll see it on Instagram.
yeah. I actually put up the pictures of the raw cutting of from the CNC. So
I
yeah,
saw
we'll
it.
see.
I saw
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
trippy looking guitar.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Do you get a lot of requests on Instagram? Like people going, dude, where can I get this?
That, and to tell you the truth, like I'm a social media novice. I've never had a Facebook page and Instagram I just started that, I think in November, December, but I get not through Instagram so much, but via Instagram, I get a lot of emails, which has worked out great. We're going to do a promotion for 1,000 followers coming
Cool.
up here. Yeah. Yeah, just that, and that just kind of took off too. It's been great.
There's a documentary, and you would also enjoy this if you can find it. I think it was on Netflix or YouTube even, about a guy in Manhattan who has his own guitar store, and he's had it since the '60s, like during the folk years, and
Right.
just an old hippie. And he's been running the same shop out of, I think it's in the Village, and come to find out, this old bar, this pub in Manhattan, in Lower Manhattan, burned to the ground, and he salvaged some of the wood from the bar. Yeah, and the bar was like
Nice.
solid. Yeah, and I think he calls it the Bowery or something to that effect. But he made this
Nice.
whole line of guitars out of this found wood in this
Yeah.
bar. Just incredible designs.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love it when with things like that, where guys just like James Hetfield, like the sentimental value of having the shed that you played in for 15 years.
Great
It's just great.
stories.
Yeah.
I could
It's
tell that
awesome.
you're attracted to that. When you go for the vintage thing, it's telling the story is just half the design is the stories behind it.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Well, Michael, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I really appreciate you joining me today, man. I really do.
Yeah.
And
Thanks so
I
much.
I ask everyone at the end, you know what? And let me. I'm going to ask the Desert Island Guitar Mix question,
Sure.
but I forgot to ask you. And it seems like a lot of the builders that I've been talking with lately are guys that are just launching into it. Do you have any suggestions for those new guys that, you know what? And you came from zero, like you said, like you didn't know how to
Yeah.
solder. What is it about construction? It's a never learning thing. What would you suggest to someone who wants to start out building their own guitars?
Yeah, that's a good question. Definitely
What are the first
remembering.
steps they should take?
Well, I think you need to get into the mindset that you're going to screw up. You're going to screw up for a while. That, and everyone is a critic.
Do you really get critics? I mean, really?
I mean, at the beginning and even now, and that's kind of, I think it's a little bit different with what I do versus, and that's kind of the whole way I started was boutique guitars are just kind of out of reach for a ton of people, but definitely have gotten criticisms for different choices on guitars. You'd be surprised. I get
surprised.
I get messages through Reverb a lot. They're from guys like correcting a bunch of different lingo, a bunch of different, choices I've made. That's not a Strat. You got to make it like this, and and that's when you're first starting out, like realizing that you can't please everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to, from my standpoint, I build what I want, basically what I want to play.
Right.
So what I think is going to sound good, and it's worked out, but yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes. So I
Mhm.
definitely, for someone aspiring to start building guitars, I would say be ready to, you know, put 30 hours into a guitar and then drop it or have the finish crack. Um,
Ah, geez, yeah.
yeah, and I worked on this Firebird for a couple months and went to start aging the finish. And I used it was a metallic finish, and it was a different product I used, and it was fine. It was like 2 months later. I thought, everything was going to be good, and I blew half of the finish on the back completely off of the guitar. It was awful. So I had to go back and figure out why it did that, and then repaint it, try to get everything. Yeah, it was not good.
Well, there you go, a new relic piece.
Right, exactly. So,
So with mistakes comes learning, right?
right,
Don't give up. It's going to happen.
right.
Right, right. That's good.
Guitar Garage Talk is brought to you by YourGuitarMechanic.com. Setups, repairs, restrings, and more. Whatever your guitar or bass needs, we can get it done. Offering pickup and delivery service in the greater Charlotte, North Carolina area. YourGuitarMechanic.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, Michael, last but not least, give me your 3 guitar tunes that you put on your Desert Island Guitar mixtape.
Oh, geez. So actually, I found this a couple weeks ago, and it's not like Lane Staley, Alice in Chains, but it's
Oh,
it's like it's
nice.
newer. It's like 2010, and it's a
Uh-huh.
live. I saw it on YouTube. It's from it's Nutshell from a concert in Spain, and man, Jerry Cantrell's guitar solo could go on forever. And like I say,
Cantrell's phrasing is just amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's awesome. Definitely look that
He
one up.
separated Alice in Chains from the rest of the grunge genre for sure.
Oh
His
yeah,
his his note choice and riffs were just, you could tell that he was on a different level than
yeah,
the standard grunge tune stuff.
yeah.
Great
That
guitarist.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. He's
Nutshell.
phenomenal.
If you can find it,
Nutshell.
if you can find it on YouTube, right? You said it was alive.
Yeah, it's from like 2010. I think pretty sure it's Spain is what it said.
Okay.
Um, let's see. And then here's another one that's on YouTube also. I don't know. I'm a big fan of like Grateful Dead, Fish, you
Nice.
know.
Jam
Yeah, like
bands.
yeah,
Extended
bands like
jam.
that.
Yeah.
And and actually if I could have one song, Desert Island song, this would have been it. Uh, and it's Phil and Friends from 1999.
Bill Lesh.
Uh, yeah, Phil Lesh and
Uh-huh.
Friends from
Uh-huh.
1999, The Warfield, and they had Trey and Page from Fish, and then Steve Kimmock on guitar also. And it's the second night, and it's Help on the Way, Slipknot, Franklin's Tower, and it's like 40 minutes long. But the
Wow.
first 5 minutes are, yeah. If I could have
Wow.
one Desert Island song, that would be it for sure.
Man.
Yeah.
That would sustain you for a while.
Yeah. Well, it has. I've probably listened to that song 1,000 times.
Amazing. And he's
Yeah.
never Phil and Friends never did it quite the same every time. I mean,
No.
I'm not a deadhead per se, but you have to
Yeah.
hand it to him. Every time they did a tune, it was different than the time before.
No,
There's
for
something to
sure.
be said about that.
Yeah. And that's a
Which
lot of
which
shows.
kind of goes, that is a lot of shit. And it kind of goes hand in hand with your guitars. No 2 guitars are going to be the same.
Yeah. Right.
You
Yeah. I
know,
love it.
that's the
Yeah.
beauty. So if I were to, and I'm going to divert and go back to your core guitars.
Yeah.
If I look on your website and I wanted an Isabella, and I wanted it in white,
Yeah.
right? Like that old Stratocaster white.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what it's going to look like when I get it in my hands, would I?
No, but that's kind of it's funny you should say that. I do a lot of, there's a lot of picture taking to make sure,
Okay.
and I don't think I've met a finish that some, I try not to move forward unless somebody is like 100%, this finish is, this color's perfect. Let's move forward,
So you have a lot of
Like that,
back and forth with the client.
oh gosh, yes. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, um,
You'd have to.
it's not uncommon to have to mix a color and tweak it, maybe 5, 6 times until you get it right,
Okay.
um, luckily I've nailed the vintage white one down.
Yeah. That's a cool
So,
white. It's a cool white. They
yeah.
don't make guitars like that anymore.
Yeah. No.
And it's funny
Yeah.
because I'm looking at my Hendrix poster here, and I think it was him in Maui, and he's
Yeah.
playing a Strat with a telly neck.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, it's funny that you should say that. I actually have a bootleg video of that Maui show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. With the telly neck. I did a couple of those a few months ago.
It's a
Those
good
were
look.
fun.
It's a good
It
look.
is.
Yeah, it's not that
It
big
is.
fat Strat headstock.
Right.
It's a trimmed down, skinnier telly headstock. But I
Yeah.
wonder who put it together for him. Did he walk into Manny's in Manhattan and saw it on the wall and just grabbed it, or where did he get it? I'd love to hear the story behind that.
You probably didn't. Clapton played one too, didn't Clapton play?
A Strat with
He
a
played
telly head.
It was either a Strat with a telly neck or a telly with a Strat neck, but they literally threw a telly neck on a Strat and it wouldn't stay in tune. It wouldn't intonate properly.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of when Clapton had a telly.
I want to say it was like Blind Faith.
Oh, son of a gun! I bet you're right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Ooh, that's another one. Shoot,
I
I
have
could
to
go
look
on
that
about
up. Yeah.
Yeah. Steve Winwood. Now that's a guitar.
Oh, phenomenal musician. And the fact that he actually did get to sit down with Jimmy and play for at least one tune is,
All right.
God, he must have been 19 years old when he played with Jimmy.
I think he was like 18 or 19 when he was in Blind Faith.
Right? Right out
Yeah.
of, and then after Blind Faith came Traffic, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Incredible.
Oh yeah.
So what's your third tune then, Michael?
And that's a hard one too, to pick a Pink Floyd song, but Dogs.
Yeah. I love Dogs.
Yeah.
Animals, it's the tune that stands out the best on Animals.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I'm pretty sure David Gilmour played a telly for that entire album.
I think I heard that somewhere. It's like Blackie is the heralded guitar that was on most of Floyd. I think I saw that he did a lot of it on a telly.
Yeah, I want to say that Animals was pretty much recorded on a telly. But yeah, that's another one, another 20-minute.
Oh,
I mean, if you're going to be on a desert island, you might as well have 20-minute songs.
Yeah. Have you seen that Gilmour's coming out with a new album in September?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he's been advertising it on social media a lot. And I'm like, didn't he just get rid of his entire collection to Christie's auction? Yeah, so he probably had to go out and buy all new guitar.
Right.
Well, there's a scene of him in the studio with the black Strat. And it's like, well, son of a gun, he probably had to buy a new one, or maybe he held on to a couple in his collection, but he got rid of the more popular ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have to look that up. I looked and I saw, it's not far from here. We've got Lake of the Ozarks is kind of in central Missouri.
Oh, okay.
And Robert Plant and Alison Krauss are touring. Yeah. And they're playing down in the Ozarks.
Oh man. That album is a really special album.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you know what, and here's a clue. I was in a record store in Raleigh, North Carolina about 5 years ago, right off campus from NC State University in Raleigh. And every chance you get, you got to visit a vinyl store. And that's my opinion. So I walk in and the kid was like, dude, you should have been here yesterday. Robert Plant was in here buying records. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Apparently he goes every town he visits, he tries to hit a record store. just to see what you
Yeah.
can find. So if you want to meet Robert Plant, follow his tour, go to the nearest city and go to the vinyl shop,
Right.
hang out.
Right. No, that's awesome.
That would be cool.
That would.
That would be
Awesome,
cool.
man.
But then, it reminds me of the story when I was a kid. I lived in Anchorage, Alaska, Eagle River, Alaska, just 10 miles north of Anchorage.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No, and Eric Clapton was
Wow.
visiting. This is 1986. Eric Clapton came to town, and I'm like, I have to go see Eric Clapton. But I thought it was this is going to be cool. I'm going to go to the big hotel in downtown Anchorage, the Hilton. He has to be staying at the biggest hotel in Anchorage, right?
Sure.
So I took the bus from Eagle River to Anchorage and hung out in the lobby of the Hilton just waiting for Clapton to come through, and spent pretty much all day there. Nothing ever happened.
It's awesome. And you just reminded me, I completely forgot. There's a Kimmock show that I need to pull out again from the Beartooth Pub in Anchorage. How long did you live there?
Moved in '88 to go to college in Texas, and then moved back in '92. Started up my career as a graphic designer with a weekly newspaper there.
Nice.
And I was homesick in Texas. I hated Lubbock. I went to Texas Tech. Lubbock was boring as hell. And so I got homesick, went back. And then when I arrived in Anchorage and lived for a few more years, I was like, man, now I know why I left. Nothing happens up here. I was in a band, played bass in a punk band, and we were pretty popular in Anchorage for bands, how bands go. But there was really no scene. I mean, it was so remote. And I do remember thinking in Texas, I can fly anywhere, drive anywhere within a few hours. I'm in Dallas, I'm in Austin,
Sure.
I'm in, So met a girl online in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and said, all right, I'm out of here. And that was 95.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And thank goodness, man. I love North Carolina. It's a beautiful state.
Yeah, we actually almost moved there. This was 3 years ago. My wife works for Centene, and they were moving everybody to Charlotte.
Oh,
Charlotte or Raleigh, because they've got that tech triangle.
Right, Research Triangle Park, RTP. Yeah.
Actually, I got to be honest, I was a little disappointed we didn't move.
You've had your business, or was that before the business?
This was before the business.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you've got a big family. That would have been a tough move.
Yeah. Right.
And I saw a dog behind you earlier, so I'm sure you've got.
Oh yeah, that's Gunner.
Michael, again, thanks, man. Big River Guitars out of St. Louis, Missouri. You can find them on Reverb. You've got at least 6 or 8 styles on Reverb for sale currently.
Right now we got more coming too.
And considering the works of art and the one-of-a-kindness that your guitars represent, the price points were super, super approachable.
Yeah, thank you. And that's kind of, like I said, there's, $3,000 and $4,000 guitars are out of reach for probably 70% of us, So yeah, trying to make, like one of a kind vintage looking guitars at a reasonable price point it's worked. So
awesome. Beautiful creations, man. I look forward to seeing the Liam, and I look forward to seeing whatever designs we can come up with, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, great stuff. Michael, thanks, man. I appreciate it, and very best of luck to you.